guys. So, it would be a video if I didn't start with water. I feel like I just need water all the time. This week's chat is going to be about journaling. I have been journaling for at least the last 14 plus years, kind of on and off in some phases. And I feel like the style that I've added to my life in the last several months and just the way that I've chosen to journal, it's been very, very helpful in just transforming my mental health. And I wanted to share that with you guys and what that looks like and kind of how I use it versus how I used to use it, and even give you a couple of tips and tricks that you can do along the way. So yeah, let's get into a whole lot of talking about journaling today. So I have a couple of journals that are floating around. I've had them for years. One that specifically has its own little time and purpose that will be gifted to somebody else along the way eventually. I also have my kind of prayer journal. If I have a specific Bible verse that I am praying over, or just kind of I want to have a very like intentional conversation with God, I use that. I also kind of use that as like my brain dump at night. If I just feel like I'm tossing and turning over a problem in bed, that one is just kind of there to give me that outlet. I also have a bullet journal. I've been using my bullet journal for almost 2 years now. I think this is my second one, so I think that it's been a good 2 years. If not longer, it might be 3. And that is very much something that I use for work. I don't know that I would use it as often as I do if I didn't have this particular job and wasn't doing full-time content creation. But for me, it's a really good place to just kind of blot out anything that I need for like blog posts. If I want to kind of think through the bullet points of stuff, that's just there. It keeps me organized, and it means that I don't have like a billion and one pads of paper roaming around and little notes here and there. I try to keep everything in that or on my phone. But the journaling that I want to talk about today and kind of the style that I'm relying on is currently I'm using this guy. I've been journaling in this one since the beginning of the month, and I'm a little over halfway through. So it is a journal from Bando. I'll link it down in the description box below. And actually this journal and even this pen were 100% influenced by Skinny Confidential. So Lauren talks a lot about having her morning pages and how that kind of helps her. And I was in a place, I guess 2+ months ago, where I just really started looking at what my goals were and how I wanted to change things and being very intentional about stuff. And so I really decided to take that on board along with some of the things from Rachel Hollis's Girl Stop Apologizing. And then along with that, I really sat down and made a vision board for the first time. Never really done that. So I'll link Georgie's video down below because she's really good at kind of talking you through that. And then I'll link Lauren's blog post, and I will obviously link Rachel Hollis's book and my review on the blog if you kind of want to read that. So taking that in mind, I do what Lauren kind of looks at as morning pages, and it's based off this idea from The Artist's Way, which is another book I'll link below. I haven't read it yet, but it kind of comes from there, and it's just this idea of kind of freeing your brain space and being more creative, and just there's no really rules other than you have to write 3 pages. It can literally be, it's almost just like a conscious dump of your thoughts. So I use it in a couple of ways, and I feel like the ways that I've really been using it have been super helpful for me. So I'm hoping that what I have found helpful maybe will work for you guys as well. The first one is to really give me just a safe space to have my thoughts. I feel like I think I judged myself for a lot of the things that I thought or was writing down as a kid, like, you know, Dear Diary. I've never been a Dear Diary person, so I think that's why I stuck with a prayer journal for so long. But having this, I felt like I can just write out whatever I'm thinking. I don't tend to read it back, so that's also part of it. I'll keep them for reference someday if I ever want to be like, that's when I started like pushing that point in my life. But for me, it's just a place to have a no judgment. Like if I want to think through a thought of, I'm feeling this way right now, and then I can kind of be like, well, why am I feeling this way, and how do I need to go about this? Sometimes it's, how do I want to encourage you guys today? How can I empower the people in my life today? You know, I ask a lot of questions in it that's open-ended for me, but it's just a very thought process open-ended, freeing space. I have no judgment here. If I think something, then I write it down, and I feel like for me that's helped me to get to know myself better, to just really be able to write down my thoughts and be like, it's okay that I think that, or this is how I feel and I'm acknowledging how I feel. And that has been very freeing for me. I just really gotten to know myself more as a person simply by having this almost stream of consciousness thought journal. So I tend to do it in the morning. It's kind of like the first thing that I do in the day, but personally that has been huge, just like freedom in my mind, because I feel like I have a place that I can just release whatever I need to release. So the second way that I use it is to remind myself of my goals. So Rachel Hollis's book, Girl Stop Apologizing, there's this whole section about 10 years, 10 dreams, 1 goal. It's one of my favorite sections. It's super powerful. So after kind of doing that for myself, I don't want to like break down how you do it. You know, it's her thing, like go read a book. But after doing it for myself and feeling like I had that stronger vision, I kind of have my 10 dreams. And so I use my journal to reaffirm those for myself. And I feel like for me, it's very focusing, because I know exactly what I'm working on in my life, what I'm working towards, what my goals are, what it helps me to say yes to things and no to things, because I can much more easily determine if something aligns with the vision and the plan and the path that I'm on versus not doing it. I'm writing them down every day, and I feel like it just helps push me and motivate me forward. So if you have a goal in your life and you feel like, you know, I really need that motivation to do it, and it's not, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily on a numbers kick for certain things, but maybe for me, one of my goals is to be healthy, fit, and strong. So that is something that I'm writing down every day, and that just helps motivate me and focus on that and just reaffirm that mindset for myself that that is how I feel, and it just kind of boosts my daily like efforts. The third way that I use journals, and it's kind of the same way that I talked about last week with affirmations, is to speak life into myself. I mentioned that a lot of times that the way that I end my journaling time with you guys, I mentioned this in my last video, is that I just really use it as like a hype time, to hype myself up, to speak intention into my day and what I'm going to accomplish, and just to really kind of pour into myself in a way that keeps me motivated and just keeps me happy. No matter what's going on around me, I can be really intentional about making sure that I'm pouring positive vibes into my own life instead of pulling from all of the negative, crazy chaos that is around me. And the last way that I use it is to really kind of release any thoughts that I'm having. So I have a tendency sometimes to just be in that brain not shutting off thing, and it's because I kind of feel like I don't get closure. Now, writing it in the journal doesn't necessarily give you closure, but I think sometimes I just need to think it out. I have a thing on my phone I used to use occasionally if I need. It's like I have a folder called Let Go, and if I just felt like I was in a certain situation, or something happened, or maybe somebody left a comment, or I was just overwhelmed by something, all I'm doing is spinning the thoughts. I'm not getting anywhere with it. And I don't necessarily need to talk it out, but I have to write it out. And that's just what lets me actually let it go. So I put it down on paper. Sometimes for me, I go through what I'm feeling, and then I kind of will dive into why I feel like I'm feeling that way. And if it's something I feel like is persistent enough that it's gonna root into my thoughts, then maybe I'll come in with like an affirmation behind it to really balance that negative side out and push me back towards the positive. But that ends up being, depending on my stream of thought and where I'm at in the day, sometimes that'll be the first thing. I'll come straight into my journal and I'm frustrated with something, or my mind is all over the place about something, or I'm worried about something, or I'm nervous about something, and I can just kind of leave it in here and like get it out and be like, all right, you know, I feel better. Like, I've talked about this. I'm not as concerned about this anymore, or I know how I'm gonna handle it, and then I move about my day. So yeah, I feel like for me, it's been super, super, super helpful. I really wish that, like, I don't know how much that has shown on the outside, but just intentionally and like mentally, I can feel the difference and just how much better I feel. Like, this goes everywhere with me. It's super important that I get this done every day, if for no other reason than to just speak that life into myself, to be a positive influence in my own life. Because the more that I'm pouring into myself, you know, and the more that I'm being intentional about filling up my cup, the more that means I can offer and help others. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. Hopefully you guys can take it on and figure out what morning pages look like for you or what journaling looks like for you. Typically for me, there are at least 3 or 4 things that are always in there. I always put the prayer of Jabez in when I'm writing it out. That's just something that I pray over my life every day. The second thing is I normally do 5 things that I'm thankful for. Going through the hurricane means I am thankful for a lot of little things, and I just do it to remind myself of all that I have to be grateful for, because when I reinforce that habit and writing it every day, I tend to take that into my everyday life. I also, obviously, I write down my 10 dreams, so I'll be interested to see how those kind of change as time goes on and if I can slot in a new dream, but right now I'm really loving that. And I tend to end it, like I said, with just setting my intentions for the day and my goals for the day and really just speaking life and hyping myself up. So yeah, it's been great. It's been an amazing addition. It's something I'm so glad that I did, and it's one habit I don't think I ever thought that would be as important as it is in my life, but like I'm always telling my friends about it. That's just the one thing I'm like, you need to do this. I promise you, if you have a single goal in your life, if there is one thing that you want to accomplish, you need to be doing this every single day. I promise it will be life-changing. So I love you guys. You matter to me. Let me know if you have any topics or questions that you would like me to cover. Feel free to send an email to askSavvy@whatsavvysaid or leave a comment down below. If you aren't already following me on Instagram, come hang out over there. We are doing an affirmation every day for the month of May. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and yeah, feel free to share this video with anybody else you feel like would enjoy it and needs to have a little life spoken into them as well. I love you guys. You matter to me. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'll see you all in Monday's video.